Now today is 28th May. It is World Menstrual Hygiene Day, a day that seeks to raise awareness and, dispel some of the taboos regarding menstrual health management. Joining me is Mr. Francis Musinguzi, the Country Director of WaterAid, on Talk of the Nation. Now, Mr. Francis Musinguzi, welcome to Weekend Edition. Let's start from the beginning. What is menstrual hygiene management?
Thank you, Mabel. A very interesting topic, quite controversial in some ways. But when girls start menstruating, they get through a number of challenges related to taboos and cultures within the school, in the home, in the workplace. And therefore, the whole aspects of managing that menstruation and making sure that does not affect their productivity, their true potential to come out. So that is menstrual hygiene management.
Oh, are we only looking at girls in schools, or does it also affect people later on?
Interestingly, it affects girls in schools. It affects women in homes, our mothers. It affects women in the productive sectors of agriculture, of industry, in the ICT. And look at the offices that we work and live in. It does affect women that work in these offices.
Okay. Now let's talk about the facts. Is this really an issue for concern, or are you just exaggerating the figures?
Well, interesting. Globally, you find, if I just spot a light on education, 130 million dropout girls in schools. You find that the figures are startling, that just in Uganda, if you have an enrollment of girls which has increased from 2006 up to date, the dropout rates have been increasing. That at secondary and tertiary level, you have only 49% of girls getting into these institutions. So it means we are dropping out 51% of the girls who could have potentially become another member, another director, another leader. So the figures are big, the numbers are startling, and anything that deals with dignity, you can never put a price tag.
Okay, but are there other issues, are there other reasons why people drop out of school? Are you going to say it's because of this? Because, I mean, we have our grandmothers who went to school. This wasn't an issue for them. So why is it such a big issue now? Why does it seem to be such a huge issue that is causing all these dropouts? Okay,
let me bring the discussion home. Uganda Vision 2040.
Yes.
We're now taking strides to become a modern economy, transforming ourselves from being a peasant economy.
Yes.
Our grandmothers lived that time because it was a peasant economy. But look, we have leaders like me and you that now have carried out research. I've looked at 3 pieces of research that were done specifically in Uganda in 300 schools. And these pieces of research show us that only 70%, 7 out of 100, 70% of our schools have facilities to manage menstruation for girls. Now you can imagine the kind of embarrassment these girls go through when they come to these primary schools. And no wonder we are seeing the dropout rates at 51%. Therefore, you could attribute this to many other factors. But so far, the 3 pieces of research I could bring to you all this, if we had time, they clearly indicate that if we manage the menstruation by having facilities within the schools, the workplaces, and also the productive sectors, we could reduce the dropout of these girls and therefore be able to bring out their true productive potential into transforming our economy into that modern and prosperous Uganda.
Okay, yeah. It's generally a woman's issue. But I do know you're coming from the view that more men can be involved, fathers, brothers, uncles. So what can they do to help their wives, their sisters, and their nieces?
Very interesting. For me, today is a spotlight on menstrual hygiene management. And it's a call that women have embraced. If you look at your anthem, all women and girls everywhere stand up and embrace. Where are the men? Where are the fathers? The word father means originator. Father means it's me who gives the esteem to my child, to my daughter. Therefore, I have a role to play as a father, as a vision bearer in my home, as the watchman over my home. I have to make sure that any issue that affects my daughter, I address it. Leaders address challenges. They don't hide away from these challenges. Leaders address taboos and norms that limit the full potential of our children. So as a father, I have a clear role in a home. And then as leaders in our offices, in the sector, in the government offices, as leaders within the district offices, we still have a role to make sure that such issues are prioritized in our planning, in our budgeting, in our monitoring. Therefore, as fathers, as men, we have a clear role to play on such a day on menstrual hygiene management, and in our daily lives to make sure that we are awake to address these taboos, cultures, limitations that have caused the bottleneck to the girls and women in Uganda and elsewhere in the world.
So how would they do it? You know, because it's one thing for you to say that you have a clear role as a man, you know, esteem and all that, but the reality is, you know, culturally, in fact, someone was reminding me before I came on air that, you know, girls, when they're going to school, they would rather give their shopping lists to their mothers because it has, you know, sanitary pads and that, because they wouldn't be free sharing their shopping lists with their fathers.
It's interesting because, like you say, even at the household level,
yes,
if a man is paying school fees, it means we have to be mindful of what facilitates our daughter to realize her full potential.
Yeah.
Therefore, you make sure that that support at the household level is provided. I also don't believe in men who get money from their pocket, you know, to give their wives.
Yeah.
You should have a shared budget at a home. And this also translates into the offices, the government offices, the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, in the Ministry offices. If we men shy away, it means even in the budget discussions, we cannot be able to track whether such issues that impact 51% of our girls are being addressed. Therefore, we cannot just stand by. So one is to make sure that we're investing in more research to understand what is the extent of this problem that affects 51% of our potential girls that could have become our leaders. 34% of the parliament are women. At independence, it was 2%. The percentage can become 70. So that's one, making sure we invest in research to highlight these issues. Number two, talking about it. Like now I've talked about it.
Yes.
And I'm calling upon all fathers and leaders out there to speak about this challenge, these taboos, the norms, the cultures that do limit the full potential of our girls and women. And then the next part is in terms of our governments, to make sure we are coordinating our efforts. As the non-state actors, the NGOs, development partners, when we are funding our partners, to make sure such issues are given a priority within our local government planning processes, within the schools. The teachers who are male, they should be sitting and talking about these issues so that our girl children do not drop out of the school and we can harness their full potentials as future leaders who will transform our economy.
Okay, now for those who are saying, you know, I want to avoid the issue altogether, and they decide, let's say, to give the girls contraceptive pills so that, you know, they don't have that at all every month. What would you say to that?
Interesting. I would speak, because I'm a water engineer,
yes,
I have my own opinions about this, and you know, they say leaders, we should state our opinions.
Yes.
Some of these methods have a counterproductive effects, and I do not have all the science that relates with that, but I would like to deal with the issue as I understand it right now. Yes. That in fact that would even be more expensive. Rather, I would look at managing this menstruation, which is not a problem at all. It's good for the girls and the women. But for us to be able to provide the facilities, the bathrooms in schools, the facilities within the workplace, so that we conveniently manage this and allow the girls and women to participate like everyone else. It's their right, and we don't want to curtail their right. And as a country, we have ratified and signed on conventions for women's rights that speak against discrimination. Even for children's rights, Article 28 specifically talks about children's rights education. So curtailing their rights to me would be a big challenge. On the medical aspect, I am not an expert, I will not speak to that.
Okay then, your final word as we sign out.
So once again, thank you Mabel for this time. And I want to call to the men out there, I want to call to the leaders, let us break this silence, let us speak to the issues about menstrual hygiene management. To our governments, we have ratified conventions. I call upon you that we may invest more, we may put in more planning and monitoring, and ensure that we reduce the dropout rates for these precious girls, and also ensure that women are given all the space to be in the productive sectors, so that we can transform Uganda into the middle-level economy that we desire. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Francis Musinguzi, the Country Director of Water Aid, this 28th day of May, which is World Menstrual Hygiene Day. This has been Talk of the Nation.